Something remarkable is happening in the global financial ecosystem, and most people aren't even noticing it. While the world watches the headlines around interest rates, inflation, and the dollar yuan tug of war, a silent revolution is unfolding beneath the surface. At the heart of it is a payment system from a country that used to be seen as a follower, not a leader in digital innovation, but that perception is no longer true. India's Unified Payments Interface, or UPI, isn't just transforming how Indians send and receive money, it's beginning to change the way the world thinks about digital finance. And what's more astonishing, it's quietly doing what China's state-backed Digital Yuan, despite all the muscle of the Communist Party and the People's Bank of China, has failed to do. The rise of UPI isn't just about efficiency or convenience. It's a story about democratization, trust, scalability, and global partnerships. It's about how a democratic country with 1 billion users is outmaneuvering a tightly controlled digital experiment in an authoritarian economy, and the implications of this go far beyond payments. They touch on geopolitics, economic sovereignty, surveillance ethics, and the future of financial diplomacy. Let's look at the numbers first. In 2022 alone, UPI processed over 74 billion transactions worth more than $1.5 trillion. That's more than PayPal globally, more than Visa in the US, and certainly more than the Digital Yuan, which is still struggling to gain traction even inside China's own borders. The difference? UPI grew organically. It wasn't forced upon the public. It wasn't driven by political coercion or fear of surveillance. It was embraced because it worked, and it respected the end user. India built UPI not as a commercial product owned by a single corporation, but as a public infrastructure just like roads or electricity. It's owned and operated by the National Payments Corporation of India, a not-for-profit consortium backed by the Reserve Bank of India and Indian banks. The design philosophy is radically different from what you find in China or even the West. UPI isn't about profit extraction, it's about financial inclusion. The world took notice when Google, Amazon, and Walmart-owned PhonePe all raced to integrate UPI into their platforms. But the turning point came when countries beyond India's borders started adopting it. In the past year alone, nations like Singapore, the UAE, France, Nepal, and even Mauritius have linked up with UPI. Japan and Sri Lanka are in talks. What was once a domestic payments tool is now becoming an international soft power instrument. Compare this to the Digital Yuan. Despite massive state subsidies, pilot programs in major Chinese cities, and even Olympic fanfare in Beijing, the ECNY still hasn't been widely adopted. Chinese citizens already had Alipay and WeChat Pay. They didn't see what the new digital currency could do that the existing systems couldn't, and frankly, they didn't trust it. The fear of government surveillance, the lack of anonymity, and the potential for programmable money that could expire or be restricted, it all added up to skepticism. UPI, on the other hand, is winning the trust game. In India, even the poorest citizens in rural villages can send money using just a mobile number or a QR code. No need for fancy smartphones, no bank fees, no surveillance anxiety. It works with basic phones and it integrates seamlessly with government welfare schemes. It's financial inclusion at scale without intrusion. The genius of UPI lies in its openness. Any bank can plug into it, any app can use it, any citizen can benefit from it. It's like the Internet of Money, open source, interoperable, and neutral. That's why companies like WhatsApp and Google Pay adopted UPI instead of building their own walled gardens. It wasn't just the best system in India, it was the best system, period. What makes this even more powerful is the geopolitical timing. As the US and its allies look to build alternative digital ecosystems to counter China's rise, India's UPI is emerging as the natural partner. It's not American, it's not Chinese, it's democratic, scalable, and already proven. It doesn't come with the political strings of Beijing, nor the privacy concerns of Silicon Valley. It's a middle path, and in today's polarized world, that's a rare asset. China envisioned the digital yuan as a way to challenge the US dollar to create a surveillance-powered financial tool that could one day be used in cross-border trade with Russia, Africa, and Southeast Asia. But so far that dream remains distant. India didn't set out to challenge anyone. It just built a system that worked, and that's precisely why it's winning. In the global competition for digital currency influence, force doesn't always win. Trust, usability, and openness often do, and India's UPI is proving that every single day, not by rhetoric, but by adoption. But the deeper question is, why is this battle between UPI and the digital yuan so important? Why should the rest of the world care whether a QR code in Delhi outpaces a state wallet in Shanghai? Because this isn't just about apps or money transfers. It's about the future structure of the global financial order. Historically, financial systems have always followed political power. The US dollar became dominant not just because of American economic strength, but because the world trusted its institutions, its courts, its laws, its transparency. China is now attempting to replicate this with a digital yuan backed by authoritarian precision. But the problem is, trust cannot be engineered. It must be earned. And this is where India has surprised the world. UPI isn't just becoming a tool for domestic convenience, it's becoming a diplomatic asset. When India signs digital payments agreements with countries like France, Singapore, Bhutan, or the UAE, it's not just creating a payment corridor, it's exporting trust, it's exporting digital public goods. And in doing so, India is positioning itself as the digital infrastructure provider for the global South. For decades, Western corporations like Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal charged hefty fees to developing countries for digital transactions. The system wasn't designed for inclusivity, it was built for profit. China's model, on the other hand, offers no fees but heavy surveillance and control. UPI is showing that there is a third way: free, fast, secure, and non-intrusive. That is why the World Bank and IMF are now studying the UPI model. It's why countries in Africa and Southeast Asia are watching closely. They want what India has built, not because of ideology, but because it works better than anything else on the market. Let's be clear, it is not trying to dominate global finance. It doesn't have the hegemonic ambitions of Beijing or Washington, but by building open infrastructure that respects privacy and enables innovation, it has stumbled upon a soft power weapon more potent than it ever imagined. Think about it, UPI is already replacing cash in Indian villages. It's allowing vendors to sell fruit using QR codes. It's letting migrant workers send money home instantly. It's powering e-commerce, welfare distribution, tax collection, and even international remittances. Now imagine this infrastructure being adopted in dozens of countries from Nepal to Nigeria. Meanwhile, the digital yuan remains stuck in pilot mode. Why? Because it's top-down. It's not solving a real user problem. It's a solution in search of a crisis. Even within China, adoption is sluggish. In fact, surveys show many citizens are confused or indifferent to it. They already have Alipay and WeChat Pay. The digital yuan feels like a downgrade, not an upgrade, especially with its lack of anonymity and fears about programmable control. In contrast, UPI integrates with what people already use. It improves life instead of disrupting it. It earns trust without demanding loyalty. That's a powerful difference. This quiet revolution is now catching the attention of global tech giants. Google has publicly recommended that the U.S. Federal Reserve study UPI as a model for its own digital payment system. That's extraordinary. When a Silicon Valley powerhouse tells Washington to learn from Delhi, it's a signal that the ground is shifting. And this shift isn't temporary, it's structural. In the years to come, as more countries adopt UPI-like systems or directly partner with India, we may see a new axis of financial cooperation that runs outside the traditional corridors of Wall Street and Shanghai, one based not on control but on collaboration. That's not just a win for India, that's a win for the world. So what does the future look like? Picture this. A shopkeeper in Nairobi scans a QR code from a tourist visiting from Mumbai. The transaction completes in seconds with zero foreign exchange fees. The backbone of this? A UPI bridge connecting India to Africa. Now imagine a Bangladeshi garment worker sending money home instantly, using a UPI-linked service bypassing banks that charge steep fees for cross-border remittances, or a Thai traveler paying for coffee in Dubai using UPI with dynamic currency conversion built in. This isn't a fantasy. This is already happening in pilot programs, and it will only grow. Meanwhile, China's digital yuan struggles with scale and skepticism. Despite being pushed aggressively by the Chinese state, adoption remains tepid, both at home and abroad. Countries are wary, not just of Chinese tech, but of what comes with it: surveillance, control, dependency. While China offers infrastructure with strings attached, India offers something revolutionary in its simplicity: no strings at all. That's why UPI's greatest strength is not just technological, it's philosophical. Where China builds a walled garden with gates monitored by the state, India is building a digital commons, open, trusted, and designed for everyone, not just the elite. In a world where nations are tired of choosing between Western corporate monopolies and Chinese political control, India presents a third option: democratic technology. And perhaps that's the deeper story here. UPI isn't just defeating the digital yuan in numbers, it's defeating it in spirit. It shows that the future of digital finance doesn't belong to those who centralize power, but to those who decentralize opportunity. It belongs to nations that build platforms, not prisons, gateways, not chokeholds. India's digital public infrastructure is becoming its most potent diplomatic tool, a quiet revolution that doesn't shout but delivers. While China's digital yuan sits atop a mountain of hype and coercion, UPI spreads quietly, like water, filling the gaps, empowering the margins, and redefining global fintech, not through conquest, but through cooperation. So while Beijing builds firewalls, New Delhi builds bridges, and in the long run, it's the bridges that connect the world. And perhaps that's how India will win, not with noise but with nuance, not by dominating the global financial system, but by reimagining it all together, quietly, boldly, irreversibly.